So the accredited investors, the people who are putting their own wealth at stake in these investments in these early stage companies, those are the angels. And the angels come in a huge variety of forms. There are, of course, at any one time, angels that have never done it before. In fact, most of the people who qualify as accredited investors have never made an investment in an early stage company. So it's not good enough that the person is rich, or what we call high net worth individual. To be an angel, you have to be actively making investments in startups. So at any one time, you may come across an angel who really likes what you're doing, but has no more idea than you do on how to actually take their funds and invest it in your company. Or you may come across angels who are experienced, who have done this 1 or 2 or 5 times before, but don't really know all the ins and outs of all the rules. It's really complicated. You will, of course, come across at some point people who have done this many, many times before, all the way up to people who do it for a living. So there are professional angel investors. There's hundreds of them, and their job is every day to meet with entrepreneurs, listen to pitches, and decide who they want to invest in. A small percentage of these is what we call super angels. Super angels make 10, 20 investments per year. They have portfolios of dozens and dozens of startup investments. Right? In any given city, there might be 1 or 2 or none of those super angels out there. And there's one more piece that has come around in the last few years. I'm going to lump them in with angels, but they're really venture capital funds. They're seed stage venture capital funds. They often have the name founder in the title. They kind of fit into the angel community, not because they're betting their own money, not because they're putting their own money at stake, but they fit in because they invest alongside angels, and they invest about the same scale as you will get from a few angels. So talking about sizes, right? Along that chart, kind of the farther you go down, the bigger the numbers. When we're talking about crowdfunding, a typical campaign might be $10,000 or $50,000, somewhere in that range. I've seen some that have done much bigger. Most are $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. When we're talking about angel investing, typical investment amounts are $25,000 per investor. That's kind of the minimum. I've seen 10 and 15. Sometimes you'll find pools of capital where angels toss in 5 or 10 apiece. But normally out in the world, pitching angels, the minimum investment is $25,000. Some angel investors have more money and they'll put down $50,000 in an investment. Some are really wealthy and they may do 100. And I've heard of many stories of extremely high worth net individuals who invested $1 million of their own money in one check in a company at one time. That happens. It's just really rare. The normal numbers are 25, 50, 100. All right, so the reason why I put the seed capital venture capital funds in here is that they're generally investing $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 and not more than that. And so when you go out to raise money from angels, you usually are creating a collection of angels, right? 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 in order to get enough money to make it worth your while. And these seed stage capital funds will invest about the same amount of money, right? In the hundreds of thousands of dollars range. And in reality, again, when it comes to raising money, if you need $1 million or more, that is really hard to do from angels, given how small their investments are. If you need $2 million or more, it's way too much for nearly every angel. If you're looking for 100, 200,000 up to 5, 6, 700,000, that's kind of in the normal range of how much money you would raise from angel investors. But again, in tiny increments of $25, $50, $100,000 a piece.